Welcome to another episode of Steady Mobbing Podcast. I am Glory here with my co-host.
What's up? I'm Black Mob.
Remember to like, subscribe, get in the comments, and let's argue. Why are you laughing?
It was like we have such a great guest today. Like my intro to myself was pretty lame.
It's okay. It's okay.
Vanilla.
It is okay because I'm at a loss for words right now.
You better find some because we have to settle some stuff.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Oh, Lordy, let's do it.
Let's do it.
It is an honor to have this person in our presence.
Mm-hmm.
I was telling him, not only has he aged gracefully physically, but his career has done the same thing. And it's a blessing to have the type of career that he has, where you're in the game for, what's it, 30 plus years
as of this year, yo.
And I'm sure he has some war wounds or whatever,
Damn.
but for the most part, he is unscathed. No scandals, no mix-up, no TMZ nonsense. Just an amazing catalog.
Maybe some Share magazine scandals.
Yeah, some Share magazine scandals.
Some Mike Check magazine.
Yes.
Holy shit.
An amazing catalog, an amazing career. He is the blueprint for Canadian hip-hop and hip-hop, period.
Fuck it. We got Kardinal Offishall on the building.
We got Kardinal Offishall on the building. Oh, my goodness. Love mercy. Oh, my God. Are you
Yes.
okay?
Yo, listen. So I grew up in Ottawa.
Yeah.
I left Ottawa at 17. I'm 37 right now.
Okay.
I went to school in Scarborough, college in Scarborough, at Centennial, and I've ever since 17, I never left.
Word.
Growing up in Ottawa, watching you on TV, and watching us represented on TV and making music. Like when I found out you were Canadian and the circle was Canadian, I was like, oh, this is crazy. This is crazy.
Yes.
I wanted to be in the industry somehow. I wanted to do hip hop. I wanted to rap. I wanted to do beats.
Yes.
I wanted to make clothing.
Yes.
And here I am talking in front of a camera talking shit. But I wanted to get into it somehow, some way. And like honestly, this to me is like
it's a Canadian heritage moment.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely
it's a full
for
circle.
us.
It's amazing to me, and I'm glad that you came through. I really appreciate
my
it.
pleasure,
Absolutely,
yo. My
absolutely.
pleasure.
Somebody of your status doesn't have to do this.
Yeah.
Do not have to be here. So the fact that you're here is a testament to your character and who you are as a person.
Well, you know what? I'll tell you this, man. You guys have quality content that makes me laugh, content that makes me scratch my head sometimes. You know what I mean?
That's good too.
But you know, I've always, listen, honestly, like when it comes to musical collaboration, when it comes to everything that I do, it's always like quality first. You know what I'm saying? It's never about, these minds them have 1 million followers or, you know what I'm saying? Or this guy's, I don't like to loose top. I don't like to ride waves. Like more time, I like to get in with people that I think are dope. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's a testament to y'all.
Ooh,
you know what I'm saying?
Thank you.
So that's for sure. You guys are definitely on the right path.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And that's great to hear because we are in a clout infested environment where views and who you are and who you're connected to dictates people's moves. So the fact that you're able to just put that to the side and just basically work on a vibe and say, can I vibe with these guys? Are these guys quality dudes in terms of the content? And you might get an inkling about our character and stuff like that and just make your decision based on that. It's great. All right, let's get into your career. I kind of want to talk about your release because it's release week.
That's right.
May 29th.
That is right. But you know what? But I feel like them, in a way, I feel like them waste mine that only come through on release week. But you know what? Because all my favorite podcasts, whenever I see somebody on multiple things, I'm like,
they're doing the run. Yeah, they're doing the run.
They're doing the run.
Oh, okay.
But at the same time, I almost felt like, I'm like, you know what? I'll just wear the little waistsuit badge just for a little bit but you know why? Because here's the thing. I didn't want to reach and then you're like, so Cardi, when is their new music? And I'm like, in 3 months. And you're like, you should have came in 3 months ago.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think right now is a dope time, you know what I'm saying? Like, even though this podcast is going to live on, so we don't want to timestamp it, but You know what I'm saying? It's a thing to where I'm jumping back in with 2 feet.
Woo!
You know what I'm saying? Just in terms of
Yes.
just having fun again, man. This music thing, obviously you guys know on the executive side, I'm like 10 years deep in it. And
sorry to cut you off. Are you still with Def Jam?
With Def Jam, yeah.
Global.
Yeah.
Salute to that.
Yep. Still with Def Jam. Shout out to to Tunji and the rest of the squad over there. Like still having a lot of fun. You know what I'm saying? Working on
that must be great.
Ione's project, Massacre's project, Skip Marley, like you know what I'm saying? Just a lot of stuff and some things that are in the pipeline that like fingers crossed, prayers up. Like if it go true, like it's gonna be some more big things to be announced.
Wow.
In the future. So it's fun, man. It's fun. I think for me, the executive side of it, it can kill the passion. It can squeeze the passion right out of you.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Loose talk again. We're gonna be saying loose talk a lot for this. But
you were in the building when the whole downsize was happening recently.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
And like how did it feel bringing people to the office? Be like, were you the guy who's doing
that? No.
Don't put that jacket on him.
No, but you know what? Honestly, bro, and I say this with all due respect to just the game. In general, these days you never know what going. You know what I'm saying? Like honestly, like tomorrow you could get that call to where it's like whatever. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, so I think it's very important to make sure that the moves that you make with whatever you're doing it because you really love to do it and you're passionate about it. Because the only thing that could be, you guys curse on the podcast?
Yeah.
I was gonna say the only thing that could be shittier than somebody saying, hey, you know what? Next week is your last week. Is being somewhere that you hate. And you go home and you're pissed and it causes you stress. And then again, for like, it's just a double bun for somebody to be like, oh, and by the way, this job that you can't stand, suck yourself. You're not
for real.
It's a dashway thing anyway. So I think for me, honestly and truly, when it comes to like the label side of it, I really, really, truly am not saying it just to say it. Like, the things that I'm doing right now, working with Def Jam, you know what I'm saying, and Def Jam, they're split between New York and LA.
Okay.
But, the good thing about, the whole global A&R thing is like, for me, it doesn't matter if it's a Canadian artist, American, Jamaican, African, whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like, the way me and Tunji rock is it's really like we just try and find people that we really think are dope. And what I love about Tunji is that he's a genius and his ear is crazy when it comes to being able to identify talent.
Salute to Tunji.
Yeah, on the way up, like learning and looking for artists and all the rest of that stuff. What was crazy is that like any artist that I would follow, I'd already see followed by Tunji. And I'm like, yo.
He gets there first.
You understand what I'm saying? So it was, that's a real talent, you know what I mean? And he has a real eye and ear. And he's a young Nigerian kid, you know what I mean? Raised in the West Coast, in the States. So it's vibes, you know what I mean? Like it's really dope. You don't have to black-splain anything to him. Like he's in the culture. He understands the culture. And I think, for me, still being a young black man, like it's dope to be able to have that be the person that's running the company. You know what I mean? It's somebody that's from where we're from, just in terms of like he understands.
Yeah.
It's a big difference.
Do you feel any pressure? Because, in Toronto, we kind of have a tendency to kind of beg for things and say, yo, why isn't this guy doing this for us? And why is he coming for the men's them and pulling us out? He's on this level. Why can't he do this? I see a lot of that rhetoric, with people who are at the top of the hip hop hierarchy in Toronto or in Canada, period. Do you feel that pressure where you feel like, you got to appease that segment of the culture and bring somebody from a Toronto on or put them on? And
I don't think so. I think there's a not for me personally, anyway. I'm not saying that it's definitely a real thing that's out there, but not for me though, because it's like, if we want to look at it musically, before we even deal with labels and all that stuff, we want to just look at it musically, bro. Like, like old time killing.
Mm-hmm.
You think about it like this. I'm on the TV with Nelly, Ludacris,
Yep.
Jay-Z,
Yep.
DMX, Ray.
Yep.
You know who was on Old Time Killing? Earth, Julie Black, YOK, Alice. These are people from the city. These are not even people with like some massive buzz.
Yep.
These are the mans them. You understand? From Scarborough, from Finch, from wherever. Like that's just who I was.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I reached for the man them, loose talk, and we, you know what I mean? We wrote in one of the it might have been Richard's basement. I can't remember. It might have been Shaman. Was it Richard's basement? Anyway, we wrote that in a basement in Scarborough. Literally, the man's we were sitting on a couch penning it like, here's my 4 bars, what you have? Like, you know what I mean? Like the real trying to outdo each other lyrically, you know what I'm saying? That's how Old Time Killing was created. So from the beginning of my career as a signed artist, it's always been my journey.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Bacardi Slang was produced by Solitaire. It's not to say that Solitaire had a placement, like a major placement before that, but you know, he still is, you know what I mean? He was my brethren, and I'm like, yo, this beat's crazy.
Yeah.
I had a record deal. I could have said, yo, I need a Pete Rock, I need a Primo, I need a whatever. But it's kind of always been my journey to rock with people from the city. You know what I'm saying? I have songs with Point Blank, with Ghetto Concept, with Chaos, with, you know, Rest in Peace King Rain, with pretty much everybody you could think of. You know what I'm saying? Like, even if you look at
Black Jays?
Of course, Black Jays too. Yeah. But even if you look at like, even with Drake and with Comeback Season, you know, like when he literally was on his come up, you know what I'm saying? Like I lent my voice and you know what I mean, rocked with him at a very early age too. And I think that's always just been kind of my vibe and my energy, you know what I'm saying? Is that like, you know, doing songs with shit with RC, with, I think me and the Kid Famous did something with Rochester.
True,
man, like.
So the proof is in the pudding.
Yeah, pretty much.
So
right there.
You know, it's one of them ones there where it's like, for the most, like, I sleep very well, you know what I'm saying? Because I know that like anybody that's ever dealt with me, they know that as long as you have positive vibes and like you're, you know what I mean? Like we rock, that's it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And that's like any kind of music. So that's what I'm saying. It's like anybody from like a Chaos who, you know, however you want to, he's hip hop to me, but it's like if you want to look at him as like a more leaning, a little alternative. But even if you look at the Streets coming up, you know what I'm saying? Concrete Mob, shout out to them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I've done music with, you know, so many different people from the city. You know what I mean? Tona, like the list goes on and on. So I think from an artist standpoint,
you have it covered.
You know, anybody that will bun me out is just somebody that maybe like we haven't done a tune, so they don't know how to express themselves properly. Yeah. I think as a grown man, what I like about, I can't speak about other grown men, but for me in particular, like part of wisdom is understanding that you gotta leave little youth ways when you're a youth. Like leave that for when you're a youth. Like when you're a big man now and you have, you know what I mean, you have family, you got kids and things to deal with. And some of these mans that have like kids, grandkids, all kind, like there's a lot, you know what I mean? Like I'm of that age now to where I'm like, yo, you're a grandfather for real? When you say the man, them call you Pop. Okay. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, me personally, bro, I can't really be worried about those kind of things. And then if you look at it from the executive side, you know what I love is the fact that at least the artists that I work with are super open-minded. I work with artists to where if there's a ill, you know, shout out to, and I can give you real life examples of like, you know, if I get production from Dirtwork or from Kato or from whomever, you know what I'm saying? Like when it comes to the beats, you know, well, you know, Wonder Girl and Boy Wonder's on already, but it's like, you know, when I work with these, you know, my Def Jam artists, them, yo, more time I put all the mans them in front of them, all of their rhythms, and I'm like, yo, I don't even say most of the time, I don't say who it's from. Obviously, Boy Wonder.
Yeah.
You're like, yo, Wonder sent you a pack still, so you have to listen. But it's a thing to where I just make a playlist of incredible music and I play it for them. And when the man and truth, they're like, yo, this is sick.
And they don't know who it's from.
They don't know who it's from. You understand what I'm saying? And it's not like I'm going in there on like some James Bond mission, but it's just a thing to where it's like being able to have artists that you're like, yo, I never would have thought to hear this person do something on this. Or when it comes to writers, like I work with, you know, couple different Canadian writers, you know what I mean, that might bless mans with a hook or, you know, write a verse if they're a singer or whatever. So I work with different, you know what I mean? So there's different ways. It's not just about like, people talk about, yo, put me on because I need you to give me a deal. There's so many different ways that you can integrate Canadian creatives into the American and the global market.
Absolutely.
And that's what it is. That's what it is that I really love to do.
So on that note, so Atlanta has a sound. New York has a sound. LA has a sound. Even like Northwest Washington and Portland has a sound. I already know the answer to this one, but tell me what you think the Toronto sound is.
Does Toronto have a sound?
So these are questions that and it's great discussion. Is homogenous the right language that I'm using when I talk about a lot of these cities having pretty much the same culture, the same experiences? Like, I think, I don't want to say your audiences, but let me dumb it down a little bit. When we're talking about a lot of these places, it's easier for them to have a one sound because it's a one type of people for the most part that's making it. You know what I'm saying? Like if you think about Atlanta, like I've been going to Atlanta since '86 because I have family that moved there. Okay. So since I was a youth kid, I've been going back and forth to Atlanta a lot. And when you go to Atlanta, there is a very prevalent culture. It's very different from here to where it's like, it depends on where you're at in the city. The energy is going to be different.
True.
You know what I'm saying? Like Little Italy is different from Greektown, different from Eglinton West, is different from the projects downtown versus Galloway, Flemo. Like there's so much jungle. There's so much different energies, different neighborhoods. And then even if you look at some of these neighborhoods, like, you know, when I was a kid and I lived in Flemo till I was about like 13, like in our little area alone, you have Caribbean people, but then you had a lot of Greek people. Then you had, you know what I'm saying, you had the South Asians, you know what I'm saying? Like at that time, Flemo itself had a specific, you know what I mean, kind of energy to it. And if you look at Toronto, we always say we're very different from the US that has a melting pot, meaning whenever people reach, they're like, you have to take on the US ideologies and, you know, wave your American flag and now it's American. It's just very narrow, generic kind of look at how America is seen. Now, let me state this for the record because we don't want the internet's coming for us and we're not begging no clout. There is amazing, incredible culture, mainly when it comes to Black folks in America. You know what I'm saying? Like Black American culture is incredible. And of course, we're participating in it.
It's the worldwide culture. It
is. But when you look at maybe their culture compared to us now, we have the cultural mosaic, meaning we are not told to shed our cultures, our values, the way that we do things when we come to Canada. So that means that if we are coming from the Ivory Coast, if we're coming from Jamaica, if we're coming from Germany, if we're coming from Japan, when you reach Toronto, you can still retain what it is that makes you amazingly unique. But that's what I think I love about Toronto is the way that we mesh, you know what I'm saying? And the way that we don't shun other people's cultures, but we're like, let me go try that food over there. The man I'm having a festival, let's reach down the festival. Let's try that. Like that's our energy here. So when people are talking about, what's the Toronto sound? If anything, I think that we have maybe a vibe and an energy more than we do a sound. Okay. There's been particular times throughout, for sure, like throughout the evolution of hip hop in Toronto, that there were definitely prevalent sounds at the time.
At the time, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, when it came to me, when I was coming up with the crew, obviously, like, we were super underground, you know what I'm saying? Like, everything was lyrical, like, you know what I'm saying? But in that, you know, even if you look at my first release in 1995, it was a song called Naughty Dread, you know what I mean? Where we sampled Bob Marley's Naughty Dread. I think in trying to just be very...
How'd you get that cleared, by the way?
Huh?
How'd you get it cleared?
You did it.
Bro, what? See, this is what I'm talking about, bro. You're going to start already, bro? What kind of police thing is this, bro? This
my bad.
We got Black TV over here.
Hold on. Shout out to Sadella, you know I love you guys. I'm so glad that I work with the Marleys. Them otherwise, yo, this man. Anyway, but you know the reality is, you know, shout out to my brethren KB. KB is one of my best friends, a Guyanese youth. But I remember he's the one that brought me the loop. You know what I'm saying? Like, he brought me the loop for Naughty Dread, and then, you know what I'm saying, I produced it myself. But it sounds weird, but I remember another one of my brethren who was Socrates's, he was in a group with Socrates at the time called the East Side, my brethren Lockjaw. I remember him saying, he's like, yo, like, this sound like Saturday morning, like when you wake up Saturday morning and you're cleaning the yard on a bright sunny Saturday. Like, that's what Naughty Dread reminded us. Like, we were trying to create music that represented who we are. Yeah. I always thought, you know, I tell people one of my favorite artists growing up was MC Lyte. And MC Lyte, obviously from Brooklyn, you know what I mean, had a song called Kick This One for Brooklyn. Kick this one for Brooklyn, bam, bam. Kick this one for the 90s, bam, bam, bam. Now kick this one here for me and my DJ. Like that, to me, that was one of them songs I was just like, man, like, as a little youth in my yard, them times, I had never been to New York. You know what I'm saying? So I just imagined what New York City was like through the music, through, you know, Beach Street, you know, different, you know, Wild Style, all these, you know what I'm saying, all these different things that we'd see on TV and yada, yada, yada. And I think growing up, I was like, man, that would be sick to have something like that from, you know, for like where we come from, you know what I mean, to represent Toronto. So that's why growing up, you know, seeing people from where we're from, I call them the Holy Trinity, which is like, you know, Dream Warriors, yes, Maestro Fresh West, and Mishi Me. You know what I'm saying? Like, them three there, that's like, you know, the three-headed Mount Rushmore.
Okay.
That was going to be the next question.
Well, when I was a kid, you know what I mean? Because growing up, that's the reality. There was lots of other people, you know, Self-Defense and Rumble and Strong and a bunch of other people that were OGs to me. But, you know, seeing what Dream Warriors did, you know, being the first rap group to sell 1 million units.
Amazing.
You know what I mean? Coming from Canada and seeing the influence they had even on people like Guru and Gangstar and them, man, their rest in peace, Guru. And then of course, you know, with Maestro, you know, Let Your Backbone Slide was just a monster. Like, it was just, you know, broke all kind of records and all that, you know, the whole 9 yards. But I remember, like, in the early to mid 90s, like seeing him do tunes with like Showbiz and, you know what I'm saying? Just seeing that I'm like, okay, this man went down to New York, got some tunes with Showbiz and ting, all right. And then even Mishi Me, like, you know, obviously Mishi Me just going back and forth between, you know, hip hop and dancehall. And as a kid, that was just so incredible. And then seeing her in the Ladies First video with Queen Latifah and Money Love and all the rest of them. Video. Like, these are all, it's very hard for a kid growing up now to be able to understand what that feeling is like. You know what I'm saying? Because you really have to be without in order to, all right, put it like this. Food tastes different when your belly is hungry. You know them weird when like you haven't eaten anything for the day and just
filet o fish.
A filet o fish, all of a sudden you're like, yo, this tastes like steak and lobster. So it's like musically, in a sense, that's what it was for us. You know what I'm saying? To where it's like, Yo, growing up, we used to have to take our little cassette, put it in the boombox, and we used to listen to
The radio.
to Ron Nelson, 88.1, Saturdays 1 to 4.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Salute to
where
Ron
my mom-
Nelson.
Yeah, my mom's like, yo, you don't want to go outside? I'm like,
No.
nah.
I'm recording a mixtape.
I'm recording a tape right now. You know what I'm saying? And
oh man, those were the
you
days.
know, all of that, man. You know what I mean? Listening to the Master Plan show on 89.5 and you know, all these other, you know, listening to Mastermind, all these pivotal people when it came to Toronto hip hop and those were the platforms. That was our Spotify, our Apple Music. Like that's how we got it. And it was for the most part once a week.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's like being able to see these people do it and represent us, I think for me and just me and the whole clique, we always wanted to put on for our city. You know what I mean? And I think that's why, you know, I'll tell you guys the story. We used to record down at the Trebis Institute. You know what I mean? Shout out to Gadget. And for those that don't know, the Trebis is like a musical engineering school. You know, you can go there and learn all types of different things when it comes to the business of music. And
that's where you met the Circle, right?
No.
Shout out to Gadget.
Mm-hmm. That's where we used to record. That was kind of a hub for the city because Gadget would have, and it's kind of relevant. It's a good segue to this story. Gadget would have people from Rexdale, people from Region, people from Scarborough, from all over the city used to come and record. Used to record there, and I remember, K-Force. He was recording there. I think it might have been a song that DRK produced. But anyways, we're just waiting our turn. Like I'm making it up, but say our session started at 2. It was like 2:03. So it was just finishing up. He was just finishing up and then, we were gonna be able to go in studio. And I remember at the end of the tune, we just heard a man, just randomly, there's a man that said T.O. And we were like,
wow.
We said, what does man just say? We said T.O. First of all, like, I know it sounds random, but at the time, it's not like a man had ever.
So that's your originator?
K-Force, 1,000%. I've been on record saying that.
Wow.
We heard a man say T.O. We said, yo, that sounds crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like something so simple.
Yeah.
You know? And we're like, yo, T.O. We like that.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, but it was just a thing to where like, yo, that's a, you know what I mean? That's a vibe still. Anyway, we went in studio, did the thing, and all the mans that used to record there, like the whole Circle clique. But the first one to put it in a song, from our crew anyway, was Shaw Claire.
Shaw Claire, yeah.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it was What It Takes in that song is where he had said it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, like we were big on that, like, you know what I'm saying? Because Toronto didn't really have a nickname. Toronto has had, we've had a lot of bogue nicknames that kind of like came and didn't stick.
There's like, I remember the Big Smoke.
Screwface, Capital, Mega City.
Screwface, Mega City, yeah.
There were some names that came and kind of didn't stick, but
I think Screwface Capital stuck.
You think so?
No,
I think it stuck with miserable people.
Yeah. For a little bit,
you know what I'm saying? Like,
I used to be miserable.
I could never I mean, listen, I could never really like honestly go someplace and be like, "Where are you from?" Oh, I'm from the Screwface.
Yeah. That's
this just doesn't have a dope ring to it. No disrespect to anybody that came up with it or whatever, but. As more of a positive youth. But the reality, though, is that, like, in Bacardi slang, when I incorporated it into the hook, I think that's really what pushed it over the top.
Got it.
Do you think if it was released today, would it have such an cultural impact?
Bacardi slang?
Yeah.
That's Central C.
He reused it?
Central C bust because he remember he had his tune where he's like, yo, we don't say this, we say that.
Oh yeah,
you don't remember?
Yeah. And there you go.
Oh yeah.
There you go.
Fuck yeah. We needed Bacardi slang in 2025.
The funny thing is we need one of the new youths to do it because I can't even keep up with all the.
Speaking of which,
should be one.
You see those kids online with like the exaggerated Toronto accent?
Yeah.
How does that make you feel when you hear like those kids online with the exaggerated?
I'm glad to be a big man in these times. Because I'm like, yo, enough man will get knocked out with that. I don't know what that is, bro. Like it's fun, but like, oh God, like that man, I overdo it.
Yeah, there's one kid I saw. He's like, he has the most high pitched voice, and it's like,
yeah, but that's the thing. Why does it have to be high pitched? That's the thing I don't understand. Like, yeah, okay. Like we just, we do that just for a laugh.
It was a joke thing back then.
Oh my God, it's so terrible.
Hopefully, it's still a joke thing.
Yeah, it's leprechaun.
I think these kids are serious. I think these little kids are serious.
Probably, but like when it listen with Bacardi Slang, I'm like, all right, I got a record deal. I know that the platforms are going to be made available to me. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a chance that I can have the world see what we're doing here and yada, yada, yada. And, me and Solitaire, we were actually, back in the dating, we used to make runs to Buffalo. You know what I'm saying? Go over the border, get some, you know what I mean? Buy some cheap shit.
Yeah.
Go shopping and come back.
Yeah.
And I remember, we were in the car and the man had a beat tape. You know what I'm saying? And the man was just playing rhythms and Regin, when that beat came on, I said, my youth, U-turn. We're going studio straight away. What are you talking about? And yeah, the whole concept and idea for Bacardi Slang, yeah, man, it just came to me. And it was actually, I don't think I've ever said this before in public, but I actually had a demo with Glenn Lewis that was called Liquor Talk.
On that same beat?
Nah. Completely, I think it was, it's probably Marvel that produced that beat, but me and Glenn had a demo called Liquor Talk. That was the predecessor to Bacardi Slang. But yeah, when I came up with the concept for Bacardi Slang, and then came up with that whole, the catchphrase from the hook, everybody knows it's the T-Dot, like, yeah. It was a real learning lesson for a lot of people because it's like, people are like, yo, where is that? T-Dot, like, what are they you know what I'm saying? Like, it was a thing to where that song opened so many doors for me, but also for the city at that time.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I'll tell you guys just a quick version. Like me and Road Dollar, we were in Vegas at one of them award shows, doesn't matter, but one of them award shows. And we were staying at probably, I think it was like the MGM Grand, and we went down into the casino. And, you have to understand, like, them times it's like we're Toronto kids, but it's new, like, everybody's there, rest in peace, Angie Stone, Destiny's Child, just everybody is there, I think it might have been like the Billboard Music Awards or one of them there. And we're in the casino, and we just hear from across the room, we just hear, yo, T-Dot! And we're like, who is it?
I'm curious to know.
And Bridget, me say, how one man just skank across the whole casino in one sparkly suit. I said, blood clot. It was fucking Shabba Ranks. It was Shabba Ranks.
Yes.
And I can't remember if it was, who do you used to par with? If it was either Nicodemus or Junior Demus. One of the Demus them he was with at the time. But the man thought my name was T-Dot, bro. Because when I said, yo, and everybody knows it's the T-Dot, he thought I was T-Dot.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
And I remember, like, that's, that was the...
That's legendary.
Oh my God. I was going to say
the
the first time. I think that's the only time I met Shabba. But still, like...
Legend.
It was just so crazy. And then, to follow it up with Old Time Killing after that. Woo! Nah, like, the floodgates opened up, man.
Yeah,
like, through
crazy.
That, one of the first people to reach out from them times was actually Jeanne. Shout out to Renee Neuville.
Salute to
Jeanne,
them. Oh my God.
From Hey Mr. DJ fame and all the rest of it, groove thing and all that. But Renee was one of the first people to reach out, and I remember her telling me, "Yo, man, like, Poss loves you." You know what I'm saying? Busta, like, because these are all her people. You know what I mean? And slowly but surely, I started meeting all the folks, you know what I mean? And yeah, Old Time Killing,
And there's an Old Time Killing part 2, right? Is it part 2 or is it some?
There's a part
There's a part two, right?
There
I
is a
love
part
the part
two.
two.
Well, yeah, it's like one of them ones where it's like the song's called Anywhere.
Yes.
But it's like in brackets, in parentheses.
Oh, I love that joint.
Yeah, shout out to Dreddy from the UK, another a UK legend. He produced that for me.
Oh my God.
But yeah, man, like from between Bacardi Slang and Old Time Killing at that time, shoot, man, everybody from, either met or got to work with everybody from Pharrell, Timberland, Pharoah Monch, Busta, the Clips, just, man, it was just such a sick time.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I can't even explain how incredible it was to be viewed as a peer as opposed to like this outsider.
Outsider, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Who, some random, how they used to look at us, international guy.
Oh,
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? To be able to like rock with so many people during that time. And it was a really pivotal time, I think, for me and the way that people looked at us. Even if you look at, shout out to Little X who did Old Time Killing. Old Time Killing, the video that became the blueprint for so many, like that was the Little X standard. After that, if you look at Give Me the Light, if you look at Usher's videos, Diddy, all these things, all those things came from
that.
The blueprint that he created with Old Time
It's amazing.
Killing. So it was just such a dope time. People don't this is a time in the city when like everybody used to come here to shoot their videos, or they used to import our women.
Speaking of which,
and dancers.
In 2003, you were in Get Busy.
Yes.
How did that I mean, oh fuck! I've seen you already told the story before, but very quickly, Cole's notes. And you were also in a track with Sean Paul before Sean Paul became like internationally famous, and it was Money Jane.
Yep, I didn't even realize until much later that he said that was his first paid feature that he ever had.
Come on, that's crazy.
Yeah, that one. You know what? Shout out to Kid Cut, because I had a song. I had the song Money Jane, and it was finished. And he's like, "Yo, we're going to Jamaica. I'm gonna put a feature on it." And I said, "All right, cool." So he went to Jamaica, came back with the Sean Paul feature. I said, "Mad." And then he flew him up here for the video, and that was it. Like me and Sean Paul have had a dope friendship since those times. So being in the Get Busy video wasn't nothing more than he's like, "Yo, Cardi, come through for the video." As a matter of fact, people used to shoot in Toronto so much that sometimes their record labels are like, "You can't have Kardinal in the video because we're gonna know where you guys got it." So you know what I mean? It was an actual thing. So where sometimes they're like, "You can't have Kardinal." But yeah, like that was just, you know what I mean? That was just my brethren, and it was winter time, and I guess it is something to talk about, but it was a crazy video shoot because somebody ended up, there was some violence that erupted the first day.
Oh wow.
Yeah, there was
this is in Brampton, right?
It was either Brampton or Sauga. I can't remember where exactly. It might have been Brampton, but I think there was some gunshots that first day. And they had to close down the set. I remember I had to leave my truck there, the whole nine.
Damn.
But yeah, we ended up going back there the next day, and you know what I'm saying, and we filmed it. So.
Yeah. What does Jamaica mean to you? Because one of my first times hearing you, I think it was the Maxine joint. I think I caught. Hold on a second. Everything okay? Yeah, it was a Maxine joint. What year was that actually? What was that?
Same time.
Okay.
Same time. So Maxine was actually the end of the Old Time Killing video. Because, shout out to Director X, he's a madman.
Yeah.
We had shot the
Visionary.
Old Time Killing. He's like, "Yo, we still got time. Like, let's shoot another, you know what I mean? Let's shoot a piece of while we're here.
Yeah.
Let's shoot a piece of Maxine."
I think I heard Maxine first before I actually heard Old Time Killing.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy. I'm like, yo, who is this guy? And then you could just, obviously, there's a heavy Jamaican influence on pretty much everything.
Yeah, I mean, we went to go see the late great Mr. Riley to get permission to use that rhythm.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? And of course, you know, with Sister Nancy, and there's the whole, I would say, controversy around, you know, who owned the masters, the publishing, who got paid, who didn't get, you know, all that stuff. But, you know, shout out to Mr. Morgan at the time. Like, we went to Kingston, you know what I'm saying? We went to his record shop to seek permission to use it, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, we paid him a thing and, you know, got written permission. And
there you go. He got it cleared.
And well, that time we had the money to get it cleared. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, to use the excuse me, one of, you know, arguably top 5 greatest rhythms ever made, you know, the Stalag rhythm. Yeah, it was a real honor to be able to use that, man. So
that's such a big
thing. I think for me, like, you know, rest in peace to my dad. Like, I just grew up, my dad was, when he was younger, he was a DJ. So he, you know, I just grew up with enough records in the yard. And same thing, you know, like all my uncles and, you know, and whenever school was done, it's like we're in Jamaica for like 6 weeks, you know what I mean? Or whatever it is until Caravan. And then, you know, that was the routine for me when I grew up, was like, soon as school's out, we're going to Jamaica and then we come back for around Caravan time. Yeah. So we spend at minimum half the summer down there, you know what I'm saying? And that's when my parents, I don't know what my parents were doing, but they're like, yo, we're out. So they, you know, we'd be staying with aunts, uncles, cousins and all that, you know, playing little games like, you know, with the empty milk box, playing keeping up and building slingshots and killing lizard and all that.
Did your parents have the plastic on the couch too?
You know, the funny thing is that no, my parents did not have the plastic on the couch. My parents did not have the plastic on the couch. There are definitely some family friends that had the plastic on the couch, but and even when you went to yard too, some people, that was the worst though. Like, it's for summertime.
The skin sticking to it.
Oh God. Oh God.
Gross.
Oh God. It's so terrible, bro. Never mind if you start sweat too. Like,
oh my God.
It was horrible. It was
Rashes
horrible.
everywhere.
It was horrible. But yeah, man, more time, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think just, I don't know. A lot of these things I didn't realize were like conversation worthy until much later. Because growing up, it wasn't anything special like living in the city. You know what I'm saying? Like, doesn't matter who you were, if you're a Jamaican, Bajan, Guyanese, Catition, wherever you were from, it was just a thing to where it's like, yeah, like you grew up. Like, if I went to a virgin's house and them and they are Guyanese, we knew they were going to name certain things. If your friends them are Trini, if your friends them are whatever, like, so growing up was just a regular thing. It wasn't until I went to America that these guys were fascinated with the thing. And I'm like, you guys don't do, that's not what you guys do here? You realize it's only certain places, certain pockets, like the Brooklyns or certain pockets of Houston or obviously Florida, you know what I mean? And what's interesting is was either the first or second American tour that I ever went on was actually with Baby Sham.
Oh yeah.
And I remember it was interesting because you got to think about it. At this time, MCA Records, they're like, he's Jamaican, they're Jamaican, put them all together. So I actually got to go on tour. Shout out to Shaggy. I got to go on tour when his records started breaking. As like he started to take off, because we were both on MCA, whatever deal management or label had made, I was able to go on tour with Shaggy during that whole "it wasn't me" thing, all to where he went diamond and sold 10 million.
Amazing.
That's big.
So I got to see it firsthand. The audiences grow and change and shift. So even though, like, I was like, me and Shaggy don't really do the same kind of music at all, but it was still so educational for me to go out there and see somebody in real time, like just becoming one of the biggest artists on the planet at the time. And then it's the same thing with Baby Sham. Like, I went on tour with Baby Sham, and I remember seeing the tour routing, and I'm just like, these places know about dancehall? And you'd be surprised, because I think everywhere where he went I discovered I didn't know that there were Jamaican people here. You know what I'm saying? It's
what was random town?
You know what? I didn't at the time. It makes total sense now, but I didn't know how many Jamaicans were actually in Texas.
Oh, wow.
I didn't know how many Jamaican, but now if you go to Houston and you go to a dancehall show, you'd be like, oh, makes total sense.
Wow.
But But yeah, it's very interesting. And then you go to places like LA where you think they're Jamaican, but they're actually Belizeans. Belizeans are the, the dominant island over in LA. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it was very eye-opening, for, a young youth coming from Toronto to be able to like see so many different things. But yeah, man, like I've been on tour with those guys and Baby Sham showed me a lot when it came to showmanship, breath control, you know what I'm saying? Because, if to this day, if you ever see a Baby Sham show, he is somebody that will give you energy level on 12 out of 10 at the beginning of the show and at the end, no hype man, all by himself.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? And I remember him, showing me certain things. He's like, yeah, man, Cardi, like, yo, I run, I do my miles on the beach, Ray, blah, 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 and that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Been on tour with CeeLo, Pharoah Monch, with Wyclef, with just so many different amazing people. And you learn along the way, seeing Pitbull's show and how immaculate Pitbull's show is. Like, there's some people, like, you go on the road and you're just like, it just gives you a different appreciation for showmanship. You know what I'm saying? When you see people able to execute, but not just in their home territory, but in Australia or, you know what I mean? Wherever they might be. I think, excuse me, for me, that was so invaluable. You know what I mean?
Speaking of, celebrities, you did a track with yes, you're on the official remix to Just Dance by Lady Gaga.
Yep.
How does it feel that probably you, Kendrick, and maybe Wale are the only guys in hip hop to have a track with Lady Gaga? Because like she's like the biggest pop star on earth.
Yeah, you know what? If I'm being completely honest, you got to remember at that time we were all under Convict.
Yeah.
So
even her,
me, her, T-Pain, Rock City, that was at like the height of the Convict era. If you will.
Yep.
And at that time, me and Rock City both had pretty big singles that were moving. Rock City had a joint called "Losing It" that was doing well, and of course, Dangerous just lava everywhere. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I remember Akon saying, the thing that people don't understand is it's like, first of all, Lady Gaga, they used to bring artists, not just her, but they used to bring artists to Canada to test out the market at them times. So I remember Lady Gaga at them times, she was going on tour across Canada. You know what I'm saying? Because they're testing out the market before they bring her to the rest of the world. That was just a regular thing that they used to do with a lot of different people. Pussycat Dolls, this, that, whatever. Even if you look at the Rolling Stones and them, man, they used to rehearse up here. You know what I'm saying? Before their tours. It is a common destination. But at that time, Lady Gaga did not have that massive over-the-top success like she does now. And I remember those guys telling me, and now it's a small thing for her, a big thing for me. But it's like that remix that we did, that was her first #1 radio record that she had.
Amazing.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? So I remember them telling me that. I was like, shit, that's dope. You know what I'm saying? But it was just a thing to where at the time Con was like, anything that Con was like, yo, you should probably do this, we just went in studio and got it done. You know what I'm saying? And it was a real family vibe at them times, not gonna lie. Even to this day, Con's still my bro. But when we were all at least under the umbrella of Convict, it was a family thing, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like we really moved as a family. And it's interesting that, a lot of the so-called stories and whatever, like for me, I was just on a Matrix thing, you know what I mean? Because there's a lot of there's some things.
We don't get messy here or whatever.
I mean,
but,
if you want to a little.
I was going to ask, how was he in the studio? Because
Akon,
yeah, because I was listening to his all the songs that came out during that time period. And I just felt like Akon was like the type of guy in the studio who was like, okay, my vocals are here. Like now I'm jumping in. You know what I mean? Like, did he feel like a little bit overbearing at any point?
Never.
Mm-hmm.
Never. Super, like, some of the most comfortable environments to ever be in. Like, what I like about Khan and how we ended up connecting anyway was that, like, he looked at it as a more of like a meeting of the minds. You know what I'm saying? He was like, he would see me in London, he'd see me in the States, he'd see me wherever, and he's like, I keep running into this guy all, everywhere around the world. And shout out to his DJ, who still is his DJ to this day, Benny D. Benny D was the one that's like, yo, Con, you're wildin'. Yo, you need to sign this guy. Cardinal is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And through Benny D and, of course, my good friend Kirk Harding, who was he was working at the label that Akon was signed to at the time. Kirk was another longtime friend. It was because of those guys that we started the relationship in terms of like getting to know each other and, the whole 9 yards in terms of me and Akon. He flew me down to Atlanta. And I remember we went to studio and honestly, we just kicked it. You know what I'm saying? Like we just got to know each other and I remember it very, very clear as day because, we were just like, I was like, yo, what's the worst thing that I need to know about you? Like, whatever. Like,
because you're already seasoned at that point. Like,
ish to a certain level.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's important to note that, like, I had some great success, but with Akon, that just opened up the international, like, superstar kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying?
mm-hmm.
There's a big difference between those artists that it's like, we know in the culture, but it's a rare air if you're able to find a song or songs that soccer moms in France know.
Facts.
Grandmothers in China know.
Yeah.
And, when we, I'm sure you guys have heard the story, but like I was on tour with Akon, Gwen Stefani, big tour across North America. And at the time, money was low. Money was low.
It happens.
Because I was in between deals. We're trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
When I was on the road, and Akon, he had rented Timberland's tour bus because Timberland's tour bus at the back had a studio.
Right.
Oh wow.
So we used to record. Well, if you could get in there every day, but we used to record all the time. That studio was always going. You know what I mean? And shout out to Exit, who was Akon's engineer at the time. And it was the very last show that, I had a beat from Chemo from the Rascals.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I said to Exit, it was only me and Exit on the tour bus in the studio. I said, yo, because them times I didn't even have a hotel room. I used to sleep on the bus. And then just go bathe in somebody's, you know what I mean, in somebody's hotel room and then come back on the bus. So I said, yo, I'm going to go bathe. I'm like, yo, beg you play this beat for Akon. You know what I'm saying? He's like, yeah, whatever, no problem. Went, showered, fix up, you know what I mean? Got dressed before showtime, came back down. And Exit and Akon, they were just sitting there. Like silent, not saying anything. I was like, anyway, came in, you know what I mean? Came into the studio. I said, yo, Exit, you play the rhythm for Akon? And Akon's like, yo, what rhythm? What beat? What are you talking about? I said, yo, Exit, play him the joint. So played him the thing. Bum, bum, slam, bum, scam. And you know what I'm saying? And he's like, oh, this is dope. You know what I mean? I was like, yeah, you know what I mean? thinking I'm doing something. And then all of a sudden I just said, girl, I can't know this, but that time that it took me to go shower and get dressed, the man came into the studio, heard the beat,
dropped the hook,
wrote the hook, recorded the hook,
damn,
and chilled.
Wow. Instant. So
then me did my thing in like 15 minutes.
Wow.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So that's the type of environment though. And the funny thing was, I didn't know that I'm not gonna lie to you. I didn't know that it was a hit them time there.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't go to studio to like there's some people that like their mandate is like, we're going to write a hit. We're not going to come out till we write a hit.
Yeah.
I was just trying to make good music.
Got it.
You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't until I got off tour and, you know, I had a studio built into my house at the time. And like I played, my manager was like, yo, shout out to Mayday. He was like, yo, like play me the joints that you guys recorded. I probably had like, you know, 15, 20 joints or whatever. And when Dangerous came on, the man was like, he's like, yo, Virgin, yo, did you save this? I was like, what do you mean if I saved it? He's like, yo, back this up on the Pro Tools, back up that set. And the man was losing it. And I was like, to me, I was just like, it was, you know,
he knew. Yeah.
And the wildest thing was like, for me, I think that's what happens when it's like, when you're able to still just be an artist and be pure with the thing, have pure intentions and really just try and make good music. It was at the time, I understand it now, but it was very, very wild to have people's, like I met with everybody. I met with Craig Kalman, Jimmy Ivey, this, that, like every single person within the industry. You understand? Because everybody wanted to do a deal based off of that song.
Amazing.
And I was just, and you know, Jimmy Ivey. I remember we went back and, because remember, I was on MCA Records before. MCA dissolved, got absorbed by Geffen. That all went away. And I was like, all right, well, that, you know, that was a time. So then when these men are like, yo, like Interscope and Jimmy Iovine are interested in doing a thing, I'm like, you want me to go right back to the same place? But I remember we went to the label and we were in the big studio playing a tune. And then the man are like, yo, Jimmy wants to see you in his office. Everybody's, like, and we went upstairs and we're sitting in this guy's office and he wasn't even in the office. You just heard a man walking from, you know what I mean? Walking from the hallway. He's cussing and I'm like, what's going on? And the man is just cussing and sat down, you know, he sat down on the couch beside me or whatever. And it was very interesting. This is like the advent of like .coms and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, Soulja Boy had just blown up and all these weird things.
Yeah, I
and
remember that times.
he was just cussing up a storm, talking about like how hip hop was changing and it was turning into like, he was like referencing what had happened, I think, to rock and how it went into like hairspray metal and you know what I mean? All this different stuff. He's like, he was seeing what was happening in hip hop. Because remember, he's, you know, that's Dr. Dre's Virgin and all them kind of things. So he was seeing where it was moving and he was talking to himself, which was hilarious. But anyway, when he finished talking, because everybody, we just kind of looked at him. I'm looking around the man, I'm like, I don't know. And he's like, yo, so are we doing this or what? I was like, sure. He's like, good. Slapped me on my knee and bounced. And I was just like, legend. Yo, when they talk about legends in the music industry, they don't really have they don't really have real legends like a Jimmy Iovine. You know? But yeah, and that's, you know what I'm saying? Like that's how we ended up going back to Interscope with Akon and the rest of the crew. And that was you know, the same way that it was a pivotal time when I signed with MCA and, you know, I got to work with all these different people and yada, yada, yada.
How are those Dangerous residuals at the time? Was it because you said that you...
They're still good.
They're still good.
I hear it all the time, man. It's on rotation on the radio every day.
No, listen, again, this is something as a very few artists get to have those caliber of, all right, think about it like this. For a Jay-Z, I remember, you know, at those times, I haven't spoken to him in years, but at those times, like we used to text every so often and, you know, I'd ask him little advice or what have you. And, you know, me and him were mad cool. Like we used to chirp back and forth about, you know, the stupid ass New Jersey Nets and, you know, all them kind of thing there, you know, because a lot of times I used to go to the games and them times I think he was whatever the part owner or whatever it was. So, you know what I mean? We always used to just chirp each other and tell him how trash his team was. But anyway, you know, it was a thing to where it's like, I remember when Dangerous was going in and was like #1 in a gazillion countries or whatever. And I remember him saying like, yo, like the joint with him and Alicia Keys, he's like, yo, that was his first #1. I was like, what do you mean this is your first #1? Bridget, you've been out since 96.
Right.
And he's like, Bridget, not every, you know what I mean?
Mm.
Like, not everybody gets them one.
It's true. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? There's some people who have had, like, when we think about hip hop, I just scrolling, I saw something last night to where they're talking about, like, a bit before y'all time, but like Special Ed.
Not
when
his
he
time,
had
not his time. He's
okay. Well, what
he's
you,
a vampire.
I'm 39.
He's a vampire. No, come on.
anyways,
Time 3.
what I was gonna, but like, you know, they're talking about how like the Youngest in Charge album never went gold, Chub Rock never went gold.
Yeah.
There's all these incredible people that are so significant to hip hop and so beloved, but you know, to be able to have one of them songs, like I'll tell you how crazy it was. Them times, it's still crazy to this day, but at those times, I don't even know what part of the world we were at, but I remember like we were on this crazy world tour, and we had walked up to check in for the flight. And Brethren, the man, them were playing Dangerous wherever the hell we were. And we walked up and it's like, it was pumping through the thing. And we're looking at each other. And we're like, yo, you know, that's me. Oh, like the people, like, you understand what I'm saying? Going to Paris, you know, going to the Louis store. And the man them come out, they're like, Brethren, they're playing the tune in there. Like, going to China, doing shows where they're like, yo, my grandmother loves this. Like, like we,
the crossover
Romania,
is crazy. Yeah.
Anywhere you could think of, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just a next level. Like some of my heroes, I'm talking people, like, I mean, my heroes.
Yeah.
Them were calling my phone. And I remember I used to look at my phone and say to my brethren, yo, what is going on? You understand what I'm saying to you? Like, the common theme at that time was people used to say, yo, congratulations. I'm like, because bro, not everybody is able to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And especially like where we come from at those times, it was not a thing. So it's like, to be able to experience that, fam, like honestly, it was.
And that's why you're the GOAT.
It was a next level thing. But you see, I'm not gonna rebuke it. You know what I'm saying? Because as a rude boy by nature, you have to say, yeah, true. Yeah. But I think I'm blessed.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You know what I mean? I'm of the, whenever people talk about, you know, I am the greatest Kardinal. You know what I'm saying? There's nobody that does what I do better than me anywhere in the world. And I think that's the only thing that I ever worry about or concern myself with. I'm not in competition with anybody except how can I, you know what, as a creative, as an artist, what my nightmare is to be like, there are certain people that they get older and I'm like, oh, this man can't rap in a pocket anymore. Or you're like, yo, why is this man still dressed like it's 1997? Or, you know what I'm saying? There's people that are not able to like be nimble and evolve and keep up with the times, but without losing themselves. You know what I'm saying? So I think for me, I think it's just, honestly, it's a blessing for people to even be watching and listening to what we have to say right now and people even care. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of people where people be like, who is that guy? Yeah. And people would have to explain and people still be like, I don't know who that is. To be able to like, we'd be here until tomorrow thinking about the incredible, I performed for the royal family.
That's crazy.
In the UK. I have performed for
amazing
sheikhs and prime ministers, and I have pictures with me and, former prime ministers and dignitaries, and to be able to get luminary awards and doctorates and, just all the things that, there's some people, honestly, like, boys, there's some people that pass away and don't get to see them things. Yeah. And people, it's afterwards when people are like, yo, that guy or that girl was the greatest. I'm like, yo, why you didn't celebrate them when they're here?
Yeah, exactly. So and that's why you're the GOAT.
And also, I knew that you were an awesome guy because I didn't want to come up to you at the Bishop fundraiser because I was, it's for Bishop. It's for Bishop, not it wasn't for anybody else. Bishop. You literally
rest in peace to B.I.
Rest in peace. You were. I remember the crowd was trying to settle in, trying to get it together. But you saw what was going on, and you got on the mic, and you're like, "Yo, this is for Bishop. Why y'all all scattered around?
Hype them up.
Come in." And nobody told you to do that. I don't think anybody told you to do that. I think you did that your own way, right?
For sure.
See, that's a testament to what kind of guy you are.
Okay, so there's a couple things I want to touch on, man, and I could obviously talk to you all week, right? Yep. So we got Canada's Got Talent. I kind of want to pick your brain as an executive and maybe give some fundamentals of some of the core principles and things that labels are looking for when it comes to new talent. Actually, let's start there. Like, what are some of the key things that you think labels are looking for in today's climate when it comes to artists?
That's a good question.
It's a very good question, but I don't think I'm going to give you the answer you're looking for. I don't necessarily care. In the way that because I don't well here's let me I was just trying to like I've never been that person for the most part that's like, unless there's a specific mandate to where like, hey yo, Cardi, you know this lane, this is what we're looking for. Like, we're looking for some lyrical youths. I need you to help me find some lyrical youths. I'll be like, all right, let's do it. My thing is that I am still looking for, up until this year, I probably would have said I'm still looking for a traditional superstar, somebody that's going to be here still in 5 to 10 years from now. The only reason why I think that narrative for me is changing is because I think the age of the superstar is dead, or it's dying and declining very swiftly. I say that because we don't really have the infrastructure, the entertainment infrastructure to be able to sustain that much longer. The way that we consume music and entertainment is very different. And there's some people, the first time that I really understood it was Shawn Mendes. For me, that was the first time I understood it, because this is when I was at Universal Music Canada. The guy lived 20 minutes away from the label. I had no idea who this kid was, never seen him a day in my life. And I saw videos of him going to New York City saying, I'm going to be in Times Square, and thousands of kids losing their mind to a youth that lived 20 minutes away. And I was just like, what? How is this possible? Because before that, for the most part, it's like if somebody was a superstar, everybody knew. You know what I'm saying? You couldn't have, there was no such thing as somebody who like did millions of anything and we didn't know who they were. We live in a time now, bro, where we could go to the Starbucks or we could go to wherever. I don't necessarily want to give Starbucks too much money, but we could go somewhere and we could sit down and break bread. And somebody could come sit in a restaurant and there could be a mob of people outside. And we might look at the youth and be like, who the hell is this? And somebody might say, yo, you don't know who this is? This is the biggest. That's happened with me and Kai Cenat. I didn't know who Kai Cenat was until he did that thing where he got arrested in New York because that whole riot. I didn't know who he was before that. That was my introduction to Kai Cenat. I had no idea who he was before then. But that's the day and time that we live in. Streamers are the new rock stars now. But it's like it's just not even the streamer thing. It's like when it comes to hip hop, when it comes to R&B, when it comes to producers, like, you know what I'm saying? I think there's one name that really stands out to me that really has the potential of just being a superstar, just on vibes or whatever. And I think it's Sad Boy. Sad Boy? I think Sad Boy, like her aesthetic, her vibe, her willingness to try everything. She's got an international sound. I think she's really, I don't know what the business is looking like, but I think she's got that je ne sais quoi. And listen, if I'll be completely honest, the only reason why I didn't super go out, well, I did, but I found out she already, was in a situation. Because the thing that a lot of people don't know is that, I mean, it essentially didn't all the way work out, but my boys Rock City in Atlanta, like that, the first time I met Sad Boy, I don't even think her name was Sad Boy at the time. She had another name. I forgot the name. She had another name. Is her government name Ebony? There you go. That was the name with an I. Yeah. I was wherever I was, and I get a FaceTime from Ray Daniels and Rock City, And I'm like, yo, what's up? They're like, hey, yo, we're working with this girl from Toronto. Her name is Ebony. I'm like, word? They're like, yeah, and you know, she's got Jamaican roots or whatever. And they're like, yo, we would love for you to like do something on a joint with her or whatever. And they put her on FaceTime. And I was like, hey, what's going on? And, you know, she's, hey, man, you know, how you doing or whatever. And I was like, yo, whatever you guys want. And she had worked with them. I don't know however long they worked together. But like those, you know, shout out to Timo and all those guys. Like, those guys are incredible writers, first and foremost. And, you know, Tehran, not last year, but the year before, you know, he won Songwriter of the Year at the Grammys. So, you know, they were all working together. And I saw how she grew. And then even when she kind of parted ways with those guys and how she became this this sad boy thing. But I saw it in her. And I told her the first time that I ever met her, you know, she had a show and I went to go see her. And I just told her, I'm like, yo, man, like, you have it. Like,
you got it. Yeah.
Super, super incredible. But that's the type of thing that I'm talking about. And everybody, I don't know if they could see it like right off the jump, but the thing is, it's like, I also had to learn that the skill or abilities that I had is not one that necessarily everybody has.
Exactly.
Because there's certain things that I can see very early that some people are not going to see for like another year or 2 years. But then they circle back and they're like, yo, how did you see that, bro? I was like, I don't know. Like I heard it, I saw it.
Yeah.
Whatever. But, you know, for me, again, long-winded answer is like, you know, what are we looking for? That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for those people that have that star quality.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Whether it's the way that you look, the way that you present yourself, how your brain works. Some people just have just a different way of seeing the world. Obviously, for me, the leading thing is that gift of if you're an incredible vocalist, if you are an incredible rapper, those are the things I still look for.
Do online analytics matter, like when it comes to like the execs and making a decision in terms of like, do they have an audience? What size is their audience?
It matters. It matters to the industry, not all the time to me though. Yeah, and it makes my job harder. Yeah. You know why? I can't remember.
Makes your job harder in what sense?
And I'll say this: I can't remember who said it, but analytics. There's two. Like analytics are. It's kind of like GPS if you don't know where you're going. You know what I'm saying? If we're like, yo, we gotta go downtown. Where is it at? By the Much Music Building or, you know, 299 Queen Street or wherever. You know where you're going, but you might turn on the GPS same way so that it can help. Right. You understand what I'm saying? Right. But I also look at analytics. Analytics happened already. By the time you get analytics, that means it's a reaction to something. Analytics are not predicting anything. That's true. Anytime you're looking at numbers, this is for something that already happened. Yeah. I'm not that person. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not trying to do what I do based on people's reaction to things. Because I think at that point in time, that's when you have people that are just chasing. You understand? As opposed to creating and as opposed to nourishing. So for me, I'm one of those people where I'm just like, if I am blessed in some type of way, if somebody gives me a link and says, yo, this girl, this guy, they're incredible. I'm going to go based on what it is you send me. If you send me a thing, I'm like, yo, this youth's sick. Yeah. It's just a bonus to me if they already have a buzz. True. The bonus to me maybe might decide the urgency of it in one way or the other. But to me, it's like, it's all about the gift, yo. You know what I'm saying? Because if people, listen, I'm sitting here before you guys because, you know, shout out to Naeem Ali. Naeem Ali, who is one of my mentors and one of the greatest A&Rs in my opinion. He's worked with everybody from Nicki Minaj to Future to I don't know if we can say Kendrick anymore, but you know what I mean? Like TDE, like, you know, he's worked with so many people over the years, but, you know, he signed me. You know what? To be fair, at those times, it wasn't the same kind of analytics, but right before I got my first deal, I went #1 across all the college charts in America, on all the trade magazine charts, all that stuff. So I did put in my work and earned the actual analytics of the time. So he was following all those things, but he just saw the raw talent. You know what I'm saying? Like when I tell you, I didn't have $2 to get on the TTC the time that I got signed to my deal. You understand?
Wow.
So it's not like I was a man who was out there and killing it, whatever. It was just the raw talent. He's like, nah, like we got to do a deal. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
And I bring up his name because it's like, if Naeem didn't take a shot with me, my crew, my neighborhood, my city, my country would have been very different.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and
salute to him.
People also don't understand. It's like there's a lot of artists that come out of America, like whether they existed or not is not going to shift the country. Like for us, people that get a shot, it can shift the landscape of the entire country. Absolutely. It's the same even with sports. Like we had the whole country going for the Raptors when we won the championship. The one team. It's not like over there to where it's like, there's Boston, there's LA, there's that. The whole country's going for one team. And a lot of the times people don't understand it's always kind of been the flex when it comes to artists that come out of here. Because it's like, we only have a handful of them.
Absolutely.
So everybody has the possibility to shift the landscape. So it's like there's just a lot more at stake. So anyways, I say all that to say, if he didn't give that shot to me, like why would I not be the one to try and give that shot to somebody else?
True.
Does age play a factor in as well? I'm starting to see a lot more.
I'm not an ageist, honestly.
Cool.
I'm not an ageist, but I don't dictate, unfortunately, the rules of outside of me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like you're gonna have to deal with the realities of the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I don't particularly care. Like if you are all the way incredible, I'm like,
regardless of age.
If your shit is whatever, I'm just like, hey. It's something that no matter the age, no matter the color, what you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's just how I look at it. But the reality is that I can only do but so much. When you go out into the rest of the world, they're gonna judge you.
True. I mean, I say that because Killer Mike, made an impact 2 years ago with, winning the best hip hop album in the Grammys. So and he's like, I believe in his 50s now. So it's like
I think he just turned 50.
Yeah. So it's like a beautiful thing. You know what I mean? I'm starting to see a lot more brothers who are, a little bit older now who are.
But don't get it twisted. Killer Mike been around for a long ass time.
For sure. 100.
You know what I'm saying? Like to be still killing it at 50 is fantastic to see how our genre is evolving. Same
with you. Like you guys basically created a new category with the Nas, the Jay-Z's, the M's, guys who are, not to say that you're over 50, but I could put your age out there. Or people know it's on Google.
They can Google it.
Yeah. To see you guys doing your thing at that age and still making an impact, right? Because rockers, they tour until they
70, 80.
And hip hop for a long time was considered a young man's sport, right? Not to say you guys aren't young, but that's just the label people give it. So it makes me so proud and so happy to see, guys who've been in the game for 30 years, still rocking it, making new music, still impacting the culture and still killing it. And it's release week, damn it! And I'm excited.
Let's go.
No, you still got it.
Oh my gosh. Thank you, yo.
Oh my goodness. I'm excited.
It's a beautiful thing, but in the grand scheme of things, bro, like, the other day, I think I saw Chuck D say he's 65.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like Chuck D from Public Enemy. Wow. Like Public Enemy for me, is one of the most important groups that I had growing up that helped teach me about political activism, Afrocentricity, just things that are still very important to my core. You know,
we need that consciousness back. Yeah.
And the man said he's 65. I said, the man is 65. But I think that's amazing because, I had said this, made a comment on Drink Champ social media, and I remember Nori was talking about it. Like, it's absolutely true though. You know what I'm saying? Like when you look at other genres, like them man that bro, these guys are still doing stadium tours,
My God.
These man them are not like legacy rock groups doing little clubs or these man them are still doing the Scotiabank arenas of the world and
Bruce Springsteen.
And bigger.
Yeah, he was out there licking out against Trump and Bruce Springsteen. I assume it's in his 70s. Like he's still filling up. Yeah.
So I mean, listen, I think that's dope. I hope as long as I'm still dope, that's my only thing. I don't want to be one of them. Like, if I lost it, I need one of the man them to just you know what I mean? That there's nothing worse than seeing when people kind of lose the thing. But it's what people don't understand is that I never stopped making music. I never stopped doing shows, never stopped doing all of the things. It's just that I feel like right now, if I'm being completely honest, my whole thing before was I got to a point where I was like, who am I going on tour with? You know what I mean? Like, I was looking around at the landscape of hip hop. I was like, come on, guys. Who am I going on the road with? It would have to be for me. I felt at the time, I don't feel like that anymore, but like around 2017, 2018, them times, there was a hard divide. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? What I love now, and it's trickled down to me, loose talk, is that like, as hip hop grew up, and these kids that are like, yo, fuck them old guys, when they're 20 and now they're 29, they're like, wait a minute. we miss you. They're like, they're on the other side of the coin. Now they're getting older and they're like, but I still want to do it. So that's why you're seeing, you know, people say, yo, T-Pain is one of the legends of all time. This guy's incredible. Oh man, Busta Rhymes is getting his lifetime achievements. You're seeing Ludacris. You're seeing like all these people.
Drake is hitting 40 this year. My God. That guy's been 25 for the longest time.
But that's the thing, you know what I mean? Like, all the mans them are, it's a blessed, beautiful thing.
It's a blessed thing.
You know how much people didn't reach these ages? Yeah. So like, it's incredible now that, you know what it is, man. Yeah. Like, anytime that, you know, with youth, just comes a certain kind of lens that you look at the world with. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, as you get older, things change, and I think it changes for the beautiful. What did I hear the other day? The people them are like, yo, I've been where you're at, and I've also been where I'm at. Well, you've only been where you're at, so you can't see where it is. Yeah. So I'm over here saying, yo, enjoy that, because that time of life is incredible. But it can even get sweeter. Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? It can get sweeter when all of a sudden you're like, fuck, yo, why did I waste so much time doing that dumb shit? Absolutely. Or chasing that, or thinking that life was important because of Ray. You know what I'm saying? When it's like, I'm just at a time and space right now to where it's like, man, life is like, being able to live with gratitude every day, honestly, having that be the thing that fuels you, just like when your eyes wake up and you're like, yo, Lord, give thanks that I'm still here. Yeah. You know what I mean? Still here with good health. And absolutely. Being able to do all the things. Yeah. It's incredible. That's why for me, this whole like, it is release week. And, you know, let them out as of now. By the time people hear and see this, let them out is out. Yeah, you know absolutely. But
you're working with Howie Mandel right now, though. I'm sorry,
that was a random segue.
We're jumping all over the place.
That was a random.
I'm so sorry. I just wanted to ask quickly: does he ever quote your music when you're chilling with him?
Absolutely not.
Does it?
No. Howie Mandel is one of the most hilarious and extremely random people that you'll ever. He first of all, it never. I can't. Well, Howie Mandel is on 90% of the time, meaning that even like if we're chilling like this, you know, it's off camera and we're just chilling or whatever, like he'll definitely like share some gems and he'll be serious with you, but the man's just funny. You know what I'm saying? He's just one of those guys where it's just like, it's great to work with him. It's great to have worked with him and to learn and to see how because he's Howie Mandel. He doesn't put on a mask and try to be anybody other than Howie Mandel. And it's been extremely successful for him. Is
he as big as a germaphobe that everybody says he is?
Absolutely. But he's gotten better though. Okay. You know, he'll tell you he's highly medicated, but he's gotten a lot better. Like when I first met him, it was like, you know, elbows and whatever. Like, you know, sometimes you might even feel to like put your arm around your brethren and, you know, whatever. And he might have just been like, but no, he's cool now. Like he might give you a daps. He's gonna sanitize after, but you know what I mean. He might give you a little.
He's gonna Dettol his hands and shit. Yeah.
But nah, Howie's mad cool, yo. You know what I'm saying? Howie's not everybody gets to spend time with those type of people. What you guys got to understand is like, obviously I'm older than the two of you, but like how he had a full head of curly Jewish hair when he was young. Like when he was doing St. Elsewhere, the man had a luxurious coif, you know, luxurious.
That's a coif.
So, you know, him working with a young Denzel Washington back in the 80s or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And all the things that he's done from being the voice of Gizmo and Gremlins. You know, how
he was the voice of Gizmo? Oh my God, I didn't know.
Yeah, bro. Yo, the amount of things that man has done, you know, even going to go visit his, he's got a studio compound to where they just do everything there. Podcasts, TV shows,
levels,
whatever. But it's like, you know, Howie, being able to work with Howie is so cool because the man is just down to earth. You can text Howie anytime, ask him any questions, and he'll say, buddy, I love you. Anything you want to do, like, let's do something. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's one of those people. And, you know, I will say he's one of the people that encouraged me the most to say, Cardi, like, you're a natural at this thing.
It's true.
Like, he's like, yo, like, I've seen other people and how they move and whatever. And he's like, yo, bro, like, honestly, Cardi, like, you're a natural. You're really good at this. And, like, I really do love working with you.
How many seasons have you been on there?
4.
4.
Yeah.
Okay. And obviously you're loving it.
4 seasons. So, you know what I mean? Good time. Good time. TV, you know, TV is a different beast, but, you know, being able to work with man like Howie and then, you know, this season, rocking out with Catherine and Shania Twain and all that, like... Bro, these are legends.
Shania Twain.
I'm sitting down, you know, I'm having a conversation when a man like Jay-Z has Shania Twain in a lyric, bro. You understand what I'm saying? Face like Shania and all them things. They're like,
have you met Celine Dion?
No.
No way.
Oh,
no.
That's crazy.
No.
Why did Jamaicans love her so much?
We love Celine Dion, Kenny Rogers, like.
Oh no!
Oh God, bro! Yes, man. Yes, man. Honestly, Jamaicans love they love our country music. They love good music. Jamaicans are music people. So they know, and it's also the hardest crowd in the world. So they'll let you know when it's fuckery. But like, if you're an actual artist, like they rate you like 1,000,000% too. So
you know, there's an argument me and Glory we talk about who created hip hop in New York.
Oh boy!
And like,
don't get the FBA after us, bro.
But I just would like to say, history is telling us that Jamaicans basically started hip hop and are low key still running it.
All right, listen. Here's what I would say with that discussion about who created
Tariq
hip-hop.
Nasheed is what
I would say that Jamaicans had a very big contribution to hip hop as we know it. If we're talking about rapping, you can see that there are historical things that were filmed and recorded to where you heard, you know, certain Black American artists that were rhyming like what we know, found in the fin and the found in the rhyme, like the soon by the time. Like, you know, arguably that were rapping from, you know, decades and decades before, you know, what we say is the birth of hip hop in was that 73?
Yeah.
But if you talk about the culture as we know it, Jamaicans and Puerto Ricans and, you know, whatever, people that were living in the Bronx definitely contributed to how we know, grow, and understood hip-hop.
Yeah.
If you look at, you know, the way that obviously, the way that Jamaicans dealt with the sound system culture, you understand what I'm saying? The way that, you know, Kool Herc and his sister dealt with the dance them, man, and just that prevalent culture. Even if you think about the DNA, and some of those early things like "The Bridge Is Over," arguably one of the best hip hop songs ever created. That's Supercat. That's Siboops there from Supercat. You understand? But it's KRS who took it and did it in his style. But KRS-One
is Jamaican too.
Trini.
Oh, he's Trini?
Trini.
Sorry, man. I
Trini.
apologize.
Yeah.
Trust me, I used to claim him too. But it's one of the, but
He
it's one
spent pot on that joint though.
he did, but that's
Yeah.
the thing. You see, we come in on the dance with a
With the
split for
different
sensi, down
He
with the
killed it.
song called BDP. If you wanna join the crew, well, you must see me. You know what I mean? Like that is dance hall.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's chatting or toasting. You know what I mean? So it's like, you know, from the days of Grand Poobah, Heavy D, like that's just opening up a whole other thing. If you look at Fab Five Freddy, Dougie Fresh, LL Cool J, the amount of people that have Caribbean heritage and lineage within hip hop, if you were to take everybody out of hip hop that has Caribbean heritage, hip hop don't look the same.
Facts.
You know what I mean? So
Well
it's
said.
a thing to where, you know, they could, you know, anybody could say what they want.
Will said.
Biggie Smart, we could go on and Salt and Pepper.
Busta.
We could go Busta Rhymes. We could go down, down the list of people that in front of the camera and behind the scenes. You know what I'm saying? Like people that are Caribbean people. But I don't see, again, I think it's because of where we come from. I don't see that as something that should be frowned upon or looked at as a threat. I think that is cultures coming together. And that's the same way that we can't discredit the Puerto Rican involvement. You know what I'm saying? Because I grew up when I used to look and see all those, the Rocksteady crew and the New York City Breakers and all the rest of them, man, it was Black and Puerto Rican
Ricans,
people.
yeah.
You know, if you go back to look at all them old movies from Beat Street, Wild Style, Crush Groove, all them kind of things, it always had Latin, what do we call it now? Latinx? Is that politically?
Sure.
But it had them on there in its same way. So I think
the FBA say they weren't there, but whatever.
Listen, I think it is at the end of the day, ADOS or FBA or whatever, they can disagree.
Yeah.
But I think one thing that I'm not down for is any more division amongst our people. I'm not, I think just by the way that I was raised and my belief system as a big man today, I'm a Pan-Africanist still.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? So I feel that the diaspora, what am I gonna say? They said, and we've heard it a million times, so where they say it's like, we just got off at different ports when it came to the transatlantic slave trade. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's like some of us were in the Caribbean, some was in Brazil, South America, some was in America, or whatever. It's like, the fact is, like, imagine all of us in this room right now, we live here, we're from here, and then, somebody kidnap us and I end up in Portugal, you end up in Russia.
That's exactly,
Like, we're going to be like, no, them's my man, them's from the place. All of a sudden, I can't just colonize myself. You understand what I'm saying? And say, no, man, I'm from Portugal. What are you talking about? Like, it does, you know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense. And it gets deep because then there's the argument to say that the Africans actually inhabited the Americas before.
Ooh, you want to have those conversations?
No.
Do you want to have those conversations?
What I'm talking about is the influx of people that look like us, the influx of Black people as we know it, we know that the majority of that came from the transatlantic slave trade. We don't need to split hairs and try and make random points. The reality is we know where the majority of Black people came from, how they ended up there. And at the end of the day, I see that it's interesting how there is this interesting energy from some Black Americans that want to separate themselves.
Absolutely.
But I don't really see the purpose in that. I think, everybody, like, you remember when we were talking about all the Caribbean people in hip hop, like Marcus Garvey, like Caribbean, Jamaican. You understand what I'm saying? We look at Farrakhan, and people them are from like Grenada or something.
I think he's from Jamaica. I think
Farrakhan?
I think he has Jamaican.
No. I think Farrakhan is Grenada. I know Marcus Garvey is Jamaica for sure. Yeah. But my point is, it's just like, when you learn from them people is talking about like, going back to the motherland, Bob Marley, Africa Unite. He's Black talking unity. About Africa, but he's also talking about Black Africans everywhere.
Absolutely.
It's a that's always what I grew up with, the sentiment to where it's like, I never looked at Black Americans as different. I never looked at Black British people as different.
Yeah.
I always looked at these are brothers and sisters that are just happen to be in different parts of the world, but we all know where we come from. You understand?
Yeah.
I say that all the time. If you look at Asian people, and I mean this with all respect and love, but it's like when you see Chinese people somewhere, you're like, them Chinese.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? When you see South Asian people, you're like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, what are you? You're Tamil, you're Pakistani or whatever. And then people say, yeah, that's exactly it. Like, sure, even if they're born here, they'll be like, I'm American or I'm Canadian. Yes, you are. But what is your lineage? You know what I'm saying? And they'll be like, oh, well, my family is Chinese.
Yeah.
They never rebuke it. And just because they're here in Canada now and cut off the ties to China or to Japan or to wherever, it doesn't make sense. So I don't know why we're trying to come with that weird reverse colonial mentality. But
that's the one thing I agree with Dr. Omar on, except for the snow bunny thing. I love me a snow bunny. Hey, me and Shannon Sharp.
Hilarious.
We love it before the scandals hit.
Yeah, that's wild, man.
Oh my gosh.
Speaking of America, rather, could you give us your Mount
Rushmore?
Mount Rushmore in American hip hop.
In American hip hop or just hip hop in general?
Hip hop. Let's classify it. Yeah, say
you
south of the border.
Well, you gave us 3, like for Canadian, I think, right?
We'll get back to that in a second.
Yeah, I mean, that's tough.
That's a tough.
You know what? Let me give you my personal 4. Mount Rushmore's 4 of them, right?
Sure. Yeah. And this is worldwide. You're about to give us?
No, U.S.
All right.
For me, the 4 most important U.S. artists had to be KRS-One for sure. Chuck D / Public Enemy for sure. Busta Rhymes.
Woof.
I think that's it.
No, that's 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me see. KRS, Public Enemy, Busta Rhymes.
Yeah.
That 4th one is
the
tough.
4th one's always tough. It gets everybody.
It's tough, man.
Yeah.
But like,
you might as well put yourself in there. Can you do that?
Yeah. Like you can, but I'm just trying to think. I don't know, man. That one is that 4th one is because those 3 are very easy.
Yeah.
Today I'll say LL Cool J.
Ooh.
Today I'll say LL Cool J because I grew up with like I think one of the first rhymes that I ever memorized might have been "I Need Love." When I'm alone, I'm trying to stare at the wall.
Legend.
Yeah.
But no, I think but then you gotta, cause Roxanne Shante for me, I think Roxanne Shante is when I knew that I loved hip hop, was Roxanne's Revenge.
Okay.
Which might have been like 83.
Damn.
84. 83.
Yeah, 83, 84, yeah.
Yeah. Like that was the first time that I was like, it was more than just this random thing that was in the neighborhood and whatever. Like that was when all of a sudden I was like, no, like I got to be a part of this thing, and not as an artist or whatever, but it's like that was when like hip hop, growing up here, you had things like the Chum 30 Countdown and back in the day, CFTR Countdown, which was just everything mixed up. No hip hop, but it was like we're listening to anything from. Tears for Fears, the friggin' Thompson Twins, ZZ Top. This was the first time I think for me that I was like, no, hip hop, this is my thing.
Got it.
You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
those 4. But man, there are so many.
It's tough. Yeah, so many
important people.
I'm gonna ask you, let's say 5 to 10 questions. You can participate.
Yeah.
We call this segment "This or That." I'll give you 2 options. You choose between the options. If you choose not to answer a question, that's fine.
Soft.
Okay. First question: oxtail or curry goat?
Curry goat still.
Oh, okay.
Jay-Z or Nas?
Shit. Already?
He's not answering. Okay.
No,
or are you gonna?
That they're Jay-Z.
Jay-Z.
And I'll say Jay-Z just because of the little bit of the personal interaction.
Got it. LeBron or MJ? Mike. Maybe Kobe would have been a better. Michael?
Yeah. Easy.
LeBron or Kobe? LeBron or Kobe?
That's tough.
Mm-hmm.
That I can't call that one.
Why is it so hard? It's Kobe.
You're Kobe?
It's Kobe.
Yeah,
Really?
but out of the three of those people that you mentioned, I mean, rest in peace. And I was in LA when Kobe passed, so that was insane.
Yeah.
Wow.
I remember the radio switched on, and it was like we're listening to music, and all of a sudden, all we hear is like, do-do-do-do-do-do-do.
Yeah.
That
just
was
us
the crazy
in
time.
Kobe Bryant's passed away. I started crying.
Imagine being in LA.
Yeah.
And if I remember correctly,
You could see the flames.
It might have been no. But I was gonna say it may have been that same weekend of the Grammys because I think that's why I was in LA. But I say all that to say that LeBron is still going.
Yep.
And the thing is, even though his team didn't win, like the things that LeBron is still capable of doing at this big dirty age in the NBA, historically, people that get to that age, bro, they can't even dunk. You're lucky if you get a layup. I remember seeing the Michael Jordan on the Wizards.
Yeah, it wasn't that great.
I would have preferred to not see it.
I agree.
So seeing
you gotta know when to fold
LeBron,
them.
what that man can still do at this big age?
Yeah, 40, 41. Yeah.
Insane.
Kawhi Leonard or Vince Carter?
Vince.
Oh yeah.
Nikki or Kim? Kim. I know you're a married man, but we could edit it out. But I'm gonna ask you. Listen, okay. Body or breast?
Well, you see, we can't say it just like that. we can't say it just like
Pause.
Okay. Breast or butt? Or no, that sounds wrong too.
Breast or ass?
No, that's that cool. Breast or ass?
If I had to do without one, like I definitely do enjoy the female
derriere
gluteus.
Yeah. This is not a this or that question, but best Jamaican restaurant in Toronto.
This guy wants me to get crucified. I'll just keep it.
Because you've been everywhere.
I know, but I'll keep it easy. I'll just, although it's not, I don't want to say it's like a hole in the wall, but like, like them small places where the food is good. Vineyard in Brampton. Vineyard is the first place that I can go, and the food is going to be the same quality every single time I go there. Vineyard.
You been there?
No, I think the Marv boys did it. The Marv guys, the guys from Marv's TV. They've been there.
There's two vineyards, mind you. There's one in Bolton and there's one in Brampton. The Brampton one, the original one, Vineyard is still my go-to. Like if outside of like, shout out to Chef Doug. There's a guy, he's grown to be a friend, a guy named Chef Doug that cooks the wickedest yard food, hands down. You know what I'm saying? When Usher was here, we sent him on a plane full of everything. He was like, yo, Cardi, I need it, bro. I need the, you know what I'm saying? I need the oxtail. I need rice and peas, plantain. I need Ray. And I said, Chef, he whipped up some things, and yeah, man. And Usher loved it too. But outside of Chef Doug, I would say Vineyard for me.
Okay, salute.
Yeah, man. Vineyard have some like, Vineyard is a thing to where like if you go and you order like some catering, like if you say to them, yo, I need $200 worth of curry goat for my family reunion, and you bring it and you put it in your own dish, people are gonna say, yo, your curry goat bad. Like, you understand? It don't taste like restaurant food. It tastes like home.
I'm sure you're gonna get some serious pushback online for that.
Never. Never.
Go ahead.
Never.
East or West in terms of the parties back in the day? Like what
in terms of the parties?
Yeah, and like
that's rough. That's rough because I had good fun in the East. but I also had a lot of fun in the West End too.
Mm-hmm.
Like you know what? I'll tell you, I love the
It's hard to put the bias aside,
the times
too.
that I grew up in this city were one to where it's like you could literally not just free, like you couldn't just be a goof, but you could go, as long as you didn't have no beef, like honestly, you could go almost anywhere and party. You understand what I'm saying? So it's like, when you think about Rexdale, Saga, you know, partying downtown Toronto, you know, Malvern times, even on some wicked house parties out in like Pickering them side. This city used to be incredible anywhere you partied. People, you know what? People always ask me like, yo, why I never moved away. And the reality is that like, there was one time where I had two residencies, doesn't matter. I had two spots. I had a spot in Brownstone in Brooklyn.
Okay.
And then we had a spot up here. So, you know, I used to split the time. But there used to be no place like the energy that you had in Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like literally, there used to be no energy like Toronto. Unfortunately, the entire world is becoming just more and more generic because online changes everything.
Yeah.
You know, before where there used to be, you know, we used to go to Memphis. We used to go to a place called this big club, Denim and Diamonds.
Okay.
On a Sunday. And it's like, in Memphis, you're going for the Memphis experience. When you're in Atlanta and you're going to like, was it Club Esso? Can't remember one of them club there. But back in the days when the crunk movement was going in.
Magic City?
Strip club, different. But you know what I'm saying? Like you go to Atlanta, you get the Atlanta experience. Like, you know what I'm saying? LA, you know, you would go to, different spots where it's like you'd get the LA energy and the LA vibe. Same thing with New York, you know what I'm saying? Back in the days of Speed and Tunnel and all the rest of them things. Now, a lot of the times, bro, like you could be in the Middle East, you could be here, wherever, and it's kind of the same. Mm-hmm. But at them times, I'm not gonna lie, like old time killing and all that stuff was born out of the actual pure essence. Like this is blockos in the city. This is, you know what I mean, going to Kiddies Carnival. This is going to King and Queen. This is going down to Lamport Stadium. Yeah. This is, coming up out of, doesn't matter, man. There's just like, there was so much incredible vibes that our city had that other places didn't have. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like when you talk about like trying to choose east or west, we go wherever the vibes is at.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We honestly would. We would just go wherever the vibes is at. Of course, some of the crew, Casey Thomas, Rowe, Socrates, Chauclair, Lockjaw, a bunch of them man them were living in the east. I think Tara Chase was in the east too. Was she? No, she was by us. What am I talking about? But then there was like, Julie, who was from Finch. I moved to Oakwood and Vaughan. Marvel was in AP, Alexander Park Projects. You had Solitaire, who was Dufferin in St. Clair. You had my man Enkill, who was on Jane Strip. You had, like our crew was from all over the city. So it's like, we didn't really have an allegiance to one place. Like obviously, KB and the man from Cataraqui, like we had people everywhere. So it's like we used to just go and have fun. Like I wish there was a documentary or just a podcast of people from that area so that people could understand what they missed. Talking the days of Party Center, Concert Hall, Spectrum, Focus, California Dreams, like all these like, RPM, like all these staples in the city, Mississauga, Under the Bridge, Superstars, all these places that we used to go, and for hip hop and just black music in general, we used to congregate. So everybody at some point in time, we all went to these different spots. And the city, like we had our own thing. Like it was really a very Toronto specific culture and way that we did things. And, even just how our parties were. People would come up here and they didn't understand how in the same party you could hear boom bap, dance hall, soca, house music. Depending on who was playing, you might hear a 1-2 80s thing, you know what I mean? And then, you know, when the down south bounce started to come in, like you'd hear all that in one party.
Yeah.
And it would be seamless, you know what I'm saying? But that's the type of energy that we had. And that's why for me as a creative, I never wanted to leave. You know what I'm saying? Because it for me, it fueled the vibes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It really did. And people over the years just came to discover it more and more. You know what I'm saying? It's like, there's so many things that are like mini pods in itself. Like the time that me and Lil Jon had a Caravana party at Circa with thousands of people inside, thousands of people outside trying to get in. You understand what I'm saying?
I remember those days.
There's so many legendary times within this city that just always just fills me with nostalgia, you know what I mean? And I just think back to how sick the vibes were, you know what I'm saying? It was incredible, man. You know, there's many stories that have yet to be told, but I think it's because we need to publicly place more value on it.
We're going to shift gears real quick because we're running out of time.
Okay.
Do you think Not Like Us was detrimental to Black Canadians, or was it detrimental to?
Nah.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
No.
No, like here's the thing, and that listen, I when I say I stay away from it, not out of fear or not back in, like, you know, we're Team Toronto all day. You understand? But at the same time, it's like, yo, when you're in a battle, man is gonna say whatever they can say. That's what they're gonna say. We all know that. Man, like, you know, shout out to Drake. That man he was way more into the battle scene than most people. You know what I'm saying? Like he's been a part of that battle culture from time. You understand what I'm saying? And some of them things that, like, when I see those guys like at those, you know, King of the Dot and just all those other battle platforms, the things that those man them say to each other in their face.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's impossible.
I know.
I'm going to jail.
Children, Brandy, everybody's getting
going to jail. And the thing is, them man, they say real things too. When I heard man talk about, your sister who's a crackhead who just came out of rehab.
Do the research.
Yo, rest in peace to your mom, because what? I'm killing somebody. Somebody dead.
Yeah.
Somebody, I forget, murder. You understand what I'm saying? Like, so when you talk about that, like that, it's gonna happen. You understand what I'm saying? Like that, you're trying to decimate the other person, whether it's fake or real.
Everything goes.
Listen, I grew up as a little youth when I heard, to this day, I told you Roxanne Shante was pivotal for me. But KRS once said, Roxanne Shante is only good for steady fucking. I said, no, not Roxanne. Like, you understand what I'm saying?
She's only 16.
Virgin, to this day, you understand? Nori still can't listen to The Bridge Is Over. To this day, because a man murdered queens from decades ago. Bridge is like 40 years ago.
Is that the greatest diss track in hip hop, you think?
People, it depends. You know how it goes. For me,
people say
Bridge Is Over is one of the nastiest. Because to my era, all you got to hear is the intro. Pap, 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 pap. Pap, pap.
Queen still hasn't recovered from that. My God.
Still. So I say all that to say, like, it's funny, like, in this song, I'm not, like, it's not a personal thing, but I think more it's a declaration for us, like in Let 'Em Out, the song that's out now. You know, there's a part where I say, Champion City, we don't care what they say. Rude boy in a tuxedo, same way. All the way I talk the talker, so we stay. First class living came from the laneway, you know what I mean? You're looking at a real one. We don't decay. NY to London, this on replay. You know what I mean? The love I'm giving out cannot reap. Like, it's a thing to where, like, with Let 'Em Out, like, when you actually listen to what it is that I'm saying, has nothing to do with the battle and all that kind of stuff. Like, again, it's a thing to where it's always going to be Team Toronto. You understand what I'm saying? Like, win, lose, or draw.
Yeah.
It's what it is. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you're a part of a basketball team and a man gets, one of the team members gets into a fight and it's a fist fight and it's close or whatever, and a man catches one, you can't be like, oh, this guy's a pussy. Like, he's on your team.
Yeah.
Like, you gotta rock with your team. If, you know what I mean? If a man sneaks one on him, you have to back, you know what I mean? You have to back your team member. And that's how I look at Toronto. Unless a man's just out of pocket and does something where I'm like, I can't defend that.
Yeah.
But outside of that, like, you ride with the city. That's what it is. But
yeah,
it's it's just one of them times, man. Like, let it out. That's why I think for me it was just something that I needed to say also. And again, it is not saying something in response to the battle or to whatever that thought process is. But sometimes it's like, you can't shy away from that. You can't make nobody tell us who we are in Toronto and you know what I mean,
Facts.
what we stand for and what we deal with. Nah,
Facts.
you know what I'm saying? Like, how the first word let them out go again? Mine when they call the dogs out. Why can't I remember?
I'm excited to hear it. I want to see the video. I'm ready to go.
Like, it's just,
let's go.
it's one of them ones where we need more Toronto energy, yo.
Thank you.
Honestly, we need more Toronto energy, and not just people saying the name Toronto in a song. That doesn't mean it's Toronto energy.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I'm talking about, like, energy that you understand, like, how we move, how we actually talk, why we do things, where things came from. Like, we need to claim that and, like, hold that no matter where we go. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I go to London, if I go LA, if I go to New York, I'm not going to take on their DNA and try and fit in with them man there. You know what I mean? Like, that's just not, it's not who we are.
Nobody's more
It's not
Toronto
who I
than
am.
you, though, man. You, like, literally embody that. You encompass that. I don't see anyone being able to, like, if there had to be a torch passed on to someone to represent Toronto, actually on a level like you did or do.
I'd argue Drake is up there too.
No, I mean, in popularity, but like that Toronto essence, that feeling, that vibe.
But you know what I hate, and I can go on record for saying it if I haven't said it before, is it's just like, remember before when I said, like, when we get one through the door and that person, it becomes sometimes, in my opinion, sometimes more than it needs to be, because everybody puts the weight of the entire country on a man's shoulders or whatever. Mm-hmm. For me, it's to where it's like, I have never in my life looked at Mos Def, not saying that I'm Mos Def, but I've never looked at Mos Def and then looked at Jay-Z. And a man said, nah, Jay-Z, nah, Mos Def. Man's like, nah, the two of them. What you talking about?
The two of them, yeah.
I never a man said, yo, New York, nah, Fat Joe, Jadakiss. No, it's all of them.
It's true.
You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So it's like, we don't ever need to play that game. Is it Tory Lanez? Is it Drake? Is it Weeknd? Is it like it's all of us?
There's room for everybody. It's true.
There's more than enough room. There's more than enough revenue. There's more than enough. Like, you know what I'm saying? Everybody can be who they are now, unless you're trying to just emulate somebody and somebody's directly eating your food. That's a whole other thing.
That's different.
But as long, like, you know what I mean? It's like, I was always taught to, like, never eat off a next man or a next woman's plate. Like, just create your own plate of food. You understand what I'm saying?
Got it.
Like, if you're depending on the next man's plate and he nams all the food, you're going to starve.
Hell yeah.
But if you have your own plate, you know what I mean? You're not worried about the next man.
But when it comes to podcasts, we're the only ones. Us and Backfuel. Salute to Esso. Yo, before we end the show, man.
Shout out to Esso and I.
Yo, when is Esso coming back, man? I like to, politic with Esso. He's a cool dude. I spoke to him briefly online.
Yeah,
I know you guys have a close relationship.
You know what? Shout out to Esso. Esso is a freaking maniac, but I love that. You know what I'm saying? I met Esso before he was Esso. Mm-hmm. I met him as the manager for Yummy Bingham. Mm-hmm. And I had wanted to do a song with Yummy for so many years. And then she agreed to do a joint. Mm-hmm. And Esso, and at the time he was Randy. Randy and Yummy actually came through the Cypher Sounds crib. Mm. And Randy's the same way today. It's hilarious. But I remember, like, it was the weirdest thing because within 5 minutes, the artist, yes, but I was like, yo, the artist and the manager are rolling weed? I said, that's crazy. Like, usually the manager is gonna, like,
I'm not
you know what I mean?
with it.
But they came in, the two of them are like, you know what I mean? The two of them are, and I remember me and Saif and the man, and we were just like, all right, cool. But I met Randy them days, and then I still remember watching my guy's show, and I had been watching it for a while, and I remember DMing him, and I said, bro, yo, I watched this show for you, fam. Like, you brought a different energy to the show. Yeah. But the weird thing was that in the DM, there was like, you know, sometimes when you never DM somebody before, but then you DM them and you see they had sent you a message.
Got it.
And I seen a message that said, yo, yeah, I ran into Mr. Morgan the other day or whatever. And I was like, do I know this guy? So I remember I hit up Morgs and I said, Morgan, yo, you know who Esso is? He's like, who's Esso?
You're like,
I said, I don't know, but he said he ran into you the other day. And then he's like, where? Anyway, long story short, he's like, yo, are you talking about like Randy that used to manage used to manage Rockweiler? And so I link it back, I said, yo, are you Randy, bitch? He's like, yeah, nigga. I'm looking at this person and the two, it doesn't compute.
Connecting. Yeah.
I said, that's wild.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So this is somebody that I have met mad long ago, and we had lost touch or whatever, but reappeared as Esso and
amazing.
You know, whatever. They had their drama, but you know what I mean? Like I seen him scrap his way.
Salute to Esso and Hanneken, Back Fuel.
Yeah.
Dope show. And
what's on the itinerary for the summer?
What's on the itinerary for the summer? You know, shout out to my brethren Ro Timmy. A lot of you guys might know Ro Timmy from being on Power, multi-platinum artist, all the rest of that good stuff. The second single coming out after this is a joint called Soak.
Woo. So that sounds like something for the ladies.
You don't know.
Hey, let's go.
You know what I mean? So look out for that. That comes out after Let 'Em Out. The third single, I don't want to talk about it on camera yet, but then, you know, the third single is supposed to drop right at Caravana time. Featuring one of my good friends. Just fingers crossed that, you know, we can get all the paperwork done, but you know what I mean? It's a nice summer. So, you know, there's going to be tunes releasing every few weeks. And then, you know, I'm also, to be honest, there's also a bunch of producers that I'm slowly working on joint projects together with them. And hopefully those will still come out too. So shout out to, you know, to Soundtrack out there in LA. Shout out to Slack of the Beat Child from here. Shout out to Dreddy. Shout out to, there's a lot of music, you know what I'm saying? And it's just one of them ones where it's like I had to figure out the point of entry, Loose Talk, which is right now. You know what I'm saying? We'll let them out. But after that, nothing is gonna be on the hard drive. Everything's reaching.
We need that Cardi Busta collab. Please make it happen. It makes so much sense to me, man. Like, oh my God. It makes all the sense in the world. Can you imagine these two like on a stage?
Yeah, it'll be crazy.
It'd be really like,
listen, shout out to
one side is on fire, next side is on fire.
Shout out to Original Trevor. Shout out to mine like Spliff Star.
Let's go.
Shout out to Solitaire, you know what I'm saying?
It would literally be a versus.
Oh shit.
Yeah. God. No, it would be, trust me, it'll be
crazy, actually.
It'll be sick. That's the big bro.
Everything would be in flames.
Let's put it out there into the universe. Why
Let's
not?
go.
And also, I just wanted to add, you have the craziest parties in Toronto, by the way. Like,
we got fun times.
No. I was watching people's IGs, and the Christmas party you had in like the end of the year last year. I wish I was in the building when you went crazy like that. It was
fun.
Next time you have one of those, please let us know. We will be there.
Listen, I want to do some parties at I want to try and see if I can do some parties at Harlem this summer. Harlem just reopened.
Yes, we heard.
Yeah.
So I might want
same location too.
Same location. They renovated it though,
okay.
So it has this new Afro Gucci look that they call it. It's
live stream.
It's nice in there. So yeah, man. Like I might want to throw some vibes in there and really just enjoy the summer.
The city needs it. City needs it.
Hey,
like
listen,
once a month or something.
Trust me, I need it too. Yeah, man.
All right, that is it from the Steady Mobbing Podcast. I am your host, Glory, along with my co-host,
Black Mob, having conversations with people you can't talk to, saying things you can't say.
Oh my God, it was a pleasure having a sit down with the GOAT. I said it and I mean it. It is just an honor. I don't know what to say. I am just blessed and so happy to finally have you here. And I hope this is the start of a lovely relationship. And yeah.
We're going to put this in the universe. Chaos, you're next.
Ooh, that'd be dope.
You're next, Chaos. I see you posting all around the world, all around North America, but you need to come back home.
Yeah.
You're next, brother.
Yeah, love that.
Bring this. Yeah.
Sick.
Beautiful.
This was good, man.
That was great.
Yeah, this was.
Music is, there's a couple of emotions. Yeah, food creates emotion because when you're hungry, you want the food that you want. Friends create an emotion because when you go and you hang out with your friends, then you go and have a good time with your friends. And especially if they're your old friends, so they have history on you for time. But music, why do you think all these older people sit there and still listen to 70s classic rock? Because they remember where they were on that moment when that song was playing. And they remember, because I remember the first time I ever heard Who Shot Ya from Biggie Smalls. Cheers.
I love that track.
Yeah, is that audio fucking good on that? We'll fucking wing it. We're gonna wing it.